Good afternoon. This is the April 18th meeting of the Wiscasset Historic Preservation Commission. My name is John Reinhardt. I am the chairman, and I would like to have my commissioners introduce themselves.
Leslie Roberts.
Pam Logan.
Stand-in secretary. Marie.
It's all in family. So let's go directly to approve the minutes of April 4th. Thank you for sending in your changes. I have put them as well as I can. We have the only word change, Pam, that we have that I have been having trouble finding in dictionary is recuse.
It's a perfectly good word.
It's a good word.
R-E-C-U-S-E.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's used in it's used in Washington D.C. all the time.
Yeah.
So take a look if you have it. I think I have a copy. You can take a look at. If there are any changes or any additional changes, please let us know. And let's enter this into the minutes. All right, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of April 4th.
Second.
I didn't make a motion yet.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that was it.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the April 4th meeting.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Great. Minutes are accepted. Bring your chairs up.
Gordon?
Gordon has resigned.
We want to make a note of that somewhere.
Well, we have. Actually, he doesn't have to enter a letter.
He doesn't have to
No.
submit an official letter.
Doesn't he
We have to
just,
notify the selection, I think.
he
so
did,
that's-
I've got two people I think would be interested in it. Actually, three.
Okay, well, we can talk about that after.
No, welcome. Okay.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you for these. Really good. Additional details.
As we did last time, if you'd like it, we have some display boards of this presentation.
Sure, please do.
And let me, actually, I'm Ed's father, Ken.
Hey, Ken.
I'm not with the Knickerbocker Group. Julian, our architect, had a 9-pound, 11-ounce baby boy on Tuesday.
Oh, wonderful.
So I will do the best I can to fill in for him,
He's
but
Taking some time off.
Good.
taking some time
That's
off. So,
wonderful. And so pretty.
that was exciting news. He almost thought he was going to miss the last meeting, so we've been waiting for daily before it actually happened.
That's a big baby.
That's not a small
Oh, there it
area.
is.
That's wonderful.
I'll do them up. This is a good place over here.
Is that neat?
I'm right behind you, which I apologize for.
We've got a week to
You
time.
got a loose thing here?
Yeah.
Just tired.
Tell you, we walk
And-
by, I walk by.
And Charlotte, do you have
The
one?
place every day, just counting the minutes. And I can walk
And
by
Susan,
there
you've got one?
Oh,
with
we're
myself
around.
cocktails. I like the big bar, Susan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that was,
So,
that was-
beautiful.
we're hoping for June 1st. So ideally, hopefully, we started hiring stuff this week, so got the ball rolling.
So again, I'm filling in from Julian. Really had three questions we were trying to come back and clarify for you.
Okay.
One was signage. And we basically, so as we said before, we're going to simply replace the little garage sign with a sign that says Water Street Restaurant, Kitchen and Bar. It's the same size as the sign now, it's in the same place. Nothing really has changed in the front. I will say we actually looked at redesigning this front area. Suggestion was to put a peak on it, suggestion was to put a hip roof on it. There was one version actually where the hip roof was really quite nice, but then we realized the rail of the doors pierced the roof. which is not a good fit. So we ended up coming back, because the only way we could really do it was because of the railing and the doors, and we all do like the doors for historical
Love the
reasons,
doors.
was to have to actually extend the roof much further. And we said, wait a minute, it really isn't attractive. So we're back in that sense, but that is the signage. I just want to say we did take a look
Cool.
at your suggestion.
Thank you.
This is very direct on the signage, so you think. It really is, the lights here exist, and the sign from the garage exists.
Pretty.
So,
Like-
now, this sign, at least I'll say I love, and I think the last time the Senate was positive on it. No change, except for painting it a little bit, freshening it up a little bit.
Yeah.
We're gonna use the same kind of blue paint that's on it before, make it fresher, and maybe paint the background a little brighter white, just to give it some more contrast. Nothing fundamentally to change. And these lights, by the way, are existing, so we're not gonna change the lighting, we're just gonna use it. Stair egress. As you will recall, this is required by the state fire marshal. So we are doing it. Last time we're debating paint versus cedar. We've come back and decided to use cedar because we think it will fade faster, and it's hopefully visibly go away a little bit. So that definitively we were going to use cedar. That was the question we were asked. And here are the two views of it. This really is the same as you saw before. This is from the water, that was from the road, but it would be a cedar walkway. The last question was on the HVAC units, which I would joke, I don't know that they have historical significance.
Love your idea of covering them.
Yes, so we're trying to do something to make them more attractive. I'm pointing out to you, there's 3 on the roof, 1 on the south side and 2 on the east side. What we're going to do with those is to construct a louvered cover like this, and really cover them and at least eliminate that sort of mechanical look to them. Our plan is to go ahead and paint them to tie into the building wall. Try to get it to tie in instead of those things down. On the side, there are 3 of these, and this is looking from I'll call it the north. There's 3 here, and our plan is again the same kind of approach. A louvered cover. I got a little on my stand. I guess I don't think it's a presentation to have. Same thing, louvered cover, painted the same color as the building. To try and again just get those to disappear a bit. So those are the 3 questions we understood you wanted us to follow up on. And so Julian couldn't be here. I thought I'll fill in.
So he was once going to be an architect.
A long time ago, I actually did study architecture. So I'll resurrect that out of my past. So I'm very glad to answer questions. Ed is the owner. My wife Jenny just came in. We're his supportive parents.
Oh, okay. What is the composition of the sign that's, was it Water Street,
I believe it's painted metal. It was up there.
painted metal?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's either painted metal or painted plywood. But it's white paint over a 1x8 surface. And we'll use the same kind of red outline on it. It's currently there. I think it's red. Currently there. Red or black.
And the same thing with the back restaurant sign?
That is exactly
Exactly the same.
exactly the same,
Yeah.
except for just freshening the paint, which is peeled over time.
Are you going to put the old sign inside
Oh,
with the rest of the
plan is-
memorabilia?
The plan is to put it either in the bar or somewhere upstairs so that people can see.
Well, you can always have hooks that you can change it. Okay, we can change it. Great, good, I like that.
So the Independence Garage lettering will come down and you'll just hang it on the inside?
We were most likely just going to leave it up.
Okay.
Keep it where it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
If
you
it was
will?
a concern that somebody's going to
Thank
somehow
you.
throw it away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know that those things happen.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have thought.
Somebody takes the sign away and it's gone forever, so
Yeah.
that's really
That's
appreciated, that's in the same place.
My only, that'll be our plan, as we get into constructing, it looks like we might actually damage the sign. We may say, let's preserve it rather than damage it.
Great.
Just, I don't think any of us want it to be damaged, we all want it to be preserved. So the plan is to leave it up, but if it's suddenly the contractor says it's gonna get damaged, we'll move it inside. So, but very much in the spirit of leaving it there so it can be seen.
Okay,
Do what you can.
thank you.
Sounds great.
I don't have any questions. I think I'm satisfied.
I noticed that there are different colors of the building, you know, the different things. You know, you have one color here, and we aren't messing with colors.
Sure.
But I'm just curious, what do you think you're gonna add? I noticed that you have more or less a dark natural color.
That's what it is now.
This is, it may just be a printing thing. It is, we're keeping the colors on the outside of the building the same.
Yeah.
So that's essentially.
Yeah, is that the basic
Light
color?
yellow,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is the basic color theme is a yellow, beigeish yellow
Sure.
with blue shutters as a color.
Well, that's gonna stick out, you know, I mean, you can be able to see it.
Sure.
If
Yep.
it was darker, it would blend with the background.
No,
so.
yeah.
And that's what the doors in front are blue. The big doors in front are blue, so. Sticking with that. And the windows are white. but
Blue shutters.
That's good.
That's what's there, the blue
Good.
shutters.
You can paint a rainbow, we can't see anything.
That's a picture with the old Hesper.
I
Is
know,
that the
I like the
Hesper?
Hesper sign,
Yeah, the Hesper with a truck on the railroad tracks.
Oh, you, great.
That's my guess is what's going on. There was
Yeah.
another one that we saw that actually had, something here. But that is a Hesper sign, which was great. It's too bad it's gonna, I don't know.
It was just a temporary
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
exhibit.
Yeah, it was nice to see. But the museum has a pickup truck on the rail.
It's really amazing. The timing was perfect.
I think the only other question that we had last time was about, I think you were considering pavers or something outside?
But we have no jurisdiction over that.
Oh, then forget that.
Yeah,
We're good.
so I'm satisfied. Are you?
I'm open for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the Water Street COA as it's been amended, as it's been presented.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, please read it.
Move to accept, move to approve Water Street additions.
Addition.
I don't want to say additions. Water Street.
Move to accept
Amended
the
COA.
Amendment.
Right, the Water
Yeah.
Street amended COA.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Really?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We're very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, now we're ready to go.
We're ready.
Yeah.
We're trying to get there.
Yeah.
We're ready to depart.
It is.
We want to get there by summer for you.
It's gonna
Yeah,
be beautiful.
we actually, it took us a
That'd be beautiful.
beautiful. So there's a couple random
Hey,
lights
we
in the
painted
front, kind of
the
like
outside
spotlights.
Oh,
porch
yeah.
dining area. It's really useful.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah, no,
on.
that's very cool.
Yep, we can.
I love that you set a bar on
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll be an exciting feature. to
Drake
have.
over to the bar and have a.
And we'll keep you in touch with the idea that there is a possibility that the train is going to start making. We've been hearing this on and off.
We kind of want it to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gone by a few times and it
Yeah.
doesn't shake the building too bad or anything. It's kind
And it
of,
would be
Just
a
go by
great
last
thing
night,
if we
like,
could
wow,
use.
my
Oh, is it really?
That was
Yeah,
crazy.
these restaurants.
it's always only one
Now
car.
what we have to do
Yeah,
is
it was
work on
really
somebody.
like laying on the horns.
Yeah,
Better
like,
looking,
were there like
you know,
people?
train station.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed.
We did have a beautiful train
Like, what is
station.
it? That's
But
a
then,
train.
you know,
Yeah.
history once taken is gone. But
Yeah, I think they took that out.
The way, right? It's
Yeah.
up the bridge, go with north of the bridge.
Yeah.
right now.
But
I hope that
they
they
decided it would be better near the water, near the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna probably have to meet at your
Type
building.
things. And
We would welcome them.
75
Yeah, thank you
people
very
driving
much.
around.
Thank you.
You
Nice to see you.
guys did such a nice job.
No, we were working for the designer, they've done a nice job.
It's just.
Bon appetit.
Thank you.
Oh, really?
You want to do old business? Yeah, it's talking about what we were talking about. Susan came over.
Yes.
That's essentially old business.
All of you, it
Thanks,
all blends together.
Oh, by the way, I was called by Bruce. And he said, did you know that 40 Federal Street is putting a garage under
We've been coming up like.
What, 40 Federal Street?
40 Federal Street happens to be the
It's quicker. actually. Anyone else try?
Doctor something, chiropractor, west. Well, he's putting in the ground. So we went back in time, and thanks to good record keeping,
You've already given them permission.
we've already given him permission. Thank heavens for
Good memories.
the ability to have record on file. So, Susan, bring a chair up.
All right.
And bring your knitting too, we don't mind that.
Thank you.
And again, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to the
See you
opening.
again.
See you in June.
Thank you so much.
We'll be there.
All right.
I did this first crack,
Okay,
just so that we could start actually having something on paper, take a vote on it, approve it, whatever, move on to the next thing.
Yes.
Because this just keeps, and lots of suggestions came in, which made me very happy. And
I've already got a copy.
yeah, I brought a copy of your.
do you have a copy, Pam?
I can bring it up.
Do you want a hard copy?
Were there any changes to it?
Not yet.
Yeah, I'll take a hard copy, then I'll make notes.
There will be.
Thank you so much.
May I have a copy?
Mhm.
May I have a copy?
Sure.
That's
But
easy.
this is just talking points now.
That's easy for me to keep track of. Thank
And
you.
then I think, do you have different procedures for the selection?
Procedures?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so, unless the ordinance would have to be adjusted.
No, this is just clarifying how to get a certificate of
Well,
incorporation.
it's good information for them
Oh,
to
yeah.
have, but.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
I wouldn't think so, but I'm only one of 5.
I didn't think so either, and somebody suggested it to me, and I thought, really? Because it just is,
It's a procedural thing. I
Yeah.
don't think it's anything to do with what
Okay.
happens.
So,
If they want, they will let me know.
thank you. I will do that, remember?
Thank you all.
Happy Easter.
Happy
Thank you
Easter.
all for volunteering, all volunteers.
Yes.
And you're the first one who's said that in 3 years. Thank you.
Appreciate your efforts, thank you.
Okay, we can go. Madame, you have the floor.
Okay. One of the things that I wanted to, and it worked, got everybody's attention, was return application to CEO for completeness review. And Bruce got back to me, Leslie got back to me. Basically, it's not his responsibility. But we have to return applications, who to? The chairman, our secretary?
Are you saying if it isn't complete, who do we return it to?
No, who do they return it
Oh,
to?
I see.
Oh, once it's
You
complete.
see, this is, it's perfectly simple. They come to the CEO
Mhm.
to see if it's needed. If it's needed, then they seek help from HPC or other members of the HPC in filling it out, if they need it.
I don't like that idea.
Okay?
Reason is, the admin, who is Kathleen, of course, is the one who has everything at her disposal. Now, she's being paid for this. We aren't. And what is work? It's work. And the reason I say it's work is that I agree with the CEO starting it off, because he's the one who will say, yes, you do need a COA, or no, you can go another way. And that's always worked. Then from that point, it is usually, I hope, copied by the admin and sent out to us in time, within all of our time limits. And then if we don't get it, then it's going to be a problem, because I know I get things via email and I will open them up and look at them. And I got all of Mr. Colbert's. And I'm not happy with the idea of having one of us do it. And for this particular reason, we are volunteers. And that's putting a lot of weight upon us. And I certainly don't mind spending time, but just like you and just like Pam, we have other things in our life that we have to get to. And walking them through a COA, we tried that with Mr. West, and it didn't work. I have never heard Bruce complain about helping people, and I've talked to him a lot. I think Bruce does I think he does a great job at it. Kathleen has a lot of things that she has to do, but she can email things, she can copy them, she can make things just exactly like we have there. And I don't think that's asking that much of her.
What that box is saying is that if somebody does not understand what is needed, or does not have alternatives, or has not filled out something, that is not Kathleen's job. That is our job. Because she is not paid.
Where do you determine that, though?
Because, John, she is not the person to take our, 183 pages of ordinances now, and review every application to see if it's correct? No.
Well, why has it worked so far? We have done
She
over
has
80,
not said,
80,
no,
80
John,
COAs.
John, excuse me, you're not listening to me.
I am.
She is not the one who says whether it's complete or not. We are the ones who say that.
Well, she can send a copy of the entire COA to all four of us, all three of us.
I am just trying to make sure that when the board gets the COA is complete and correctly filled out, and all the boxes are checked. And
Well,
if we wait until the 15th to do that, and we get it, and let us say that the 15th is a Friday, it's not going to get to us. We have a time constraint. If it is incomplete, we have to go back to the applicant, take that time, applicant has to take the time to make it complete, at which time we've lost our lead time for the next hearing, and we're out 6 weeks from when they first wanted to submit it.
How about?
That was my thinking on it.
I mean,
Anyway.
it feels like there are two different steps that we're talking about. When the COA is received and Kathy scans it and she sends it to us, and we try to review it quickly and say, okay, there's stuff missing, we need to go back to the applicant. Or if the applicant just looks at the COA and says, I don't know how to do this, I'm completely lost.
Yeah.
So at one point, if they're completely lost, we could point them to examples of really good COAs that have been approved on the website and say, please review these approved COAs on our Facebook page or website.
Here's a perfect example.
And here's a perfect example. If you still have questions, then they could email me or email Pam. I think, how often would that happen? Probably.
I think it's only one time with West.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I can remember. with all these things. And of course, it goes back almost 2.5 years. And I'm not against helping, because I do get phone calls from people about the COAs. And my first thing, and I've talked to Bruce about this, is either give them a copy of the ordinance or say, go to the town website and read the ordinance.
Oh, it's so complicated. for
Yeah,
people
it is a
to
complicated, but,
And
We
it's
need to
very
make
hard
this
to get it
simple.
on
Mm-hmm.
the town website.
yeah.
I
It
think,
is, yeah.
You have to know to get to the codes
yeah,
enforcement, then you have to know that it's part of the zoning board, then you have to go scroll through the zoning board, they have no search for it at all. You can't search the ordinances.
Then perhaps the town should have copies for Bruce to give out.
of a good example of it. I don't think people have access to the internet. They could go
Yeah,
online and look.
yeah, I know that.
So first we've got Bruce. Bruce can say, yes, you need a COA. No, you don't need a COA. The person receives a COA application, or it's a COA. If they're stuck on how to fill it out, we could point them to some examples on the website. If they're still stuck, they could reach out to us. The problem is, as you say, Susan, if they submit it to Kathy and she scans it, and they submit it on Thursday and she doesn't get a chance to scan it till Monday, and then we look at it, we say something's missing, it may force them to wait a whole nother month and a half till they get to the next meeting.
Yeah.
So that's the only problem. But I mean, if they didn't take the time to do it thoroughly the first time, is it so bad if they have to wait a little while? I mean, is it?
Well, I think people want to do it as soon as
We
they walk
have
in.
an
They feel like
extremely
it should be
short
done, but
construction time
It's true,
in
we
Maine.
do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, I have been waiting and waiting and waiting for something to be done to my house, and all I get told is, it's not warm enough,
Yeah.
it's too wet, it's too this, it's too that.
We're unbooked.
You know, I just think that if somebody buys a house in the historic district on May 1st,
Yeah.
they then say, okay, I want to do some changes to this. And my contractor said that he'll start on May 2nd. Good luck,
Mhm.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, so my contractor can't do it on May 2nd because I have to go through HPC review.
Right.
Fine. Even if I go through that timely, construction cannot start till mid-June.
Mhm.
yeah, but somebody's going to have to realize when they come into town that these particular set of rules with the contractors and things like that exist. I mean
I think
Anthony
people realize
Razio,
that.
yeah, Anthony Razio was dealing, bartering, before he even bought the house with the contractors. And the thing that's really great about what occurred with him, I'm sure you all heard about that pipe coming from his house and what occurred with that. Well, this is, as far as I know, this is what happened. And actually, Anthony told me. He said that he had gotten one estimate from a contractor who I will not name, and the man said, well, he said, yeah, he said, I'm going to put down a video camera, and he did that. He put it down in the pipe, and it showed the entire line from the house going into Federal Street into the sewer line was blocked and things like that. Anthony thought he was going to, and the guy gave him a bill for about $8,000. So there was something within Anthony's stomach that he did not feel right about this estimate, which is really true with just about everybody who walks into the state. You have to get more than one estimate unless you know the person and you know the contractor. Well, he went back to, from what I understand, he went back to the salesman, to the sales agent, and said, can you give me another name? And he did. And it was, from what I understand, it was somebody who had family connection with the man who's in charge of the state. And he went through, and he had another video taken and showed it to him. And the video was clear.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And so this particular process, people have to realize, I think, that you have to, there's gonna be a time when you can and a time when you can't. And you have to set things up early. I'm not against, putting things up so they can get done. But, I think people are really more aware, especially if they start dealing with contractors, that you're gonna have a time frame that you're either gonna do. They're either gonna say, I'm sorry, I can't get to work at it until September 8th.
Well, I mean, maybe during the season, the construction season, we could offer to have more than one meeting a month.
No,
No? Okay, we can't do
I'm
that.
very much opposed to that. I
Okay.
think we need to have one meeting in a month,
Okay,
the first meeting of the month, to review a COA.
okay,
That gives them time, if you need anything more,
right,
just as the garage
okay.
people, sorry, Water Street
Water
Kitchen
Street,
people.
Yeah.
They came in on the first meeting of the month.
Mhm,
You needed more information. They came back now.
mhm,
They're good to go.
right,
But we've done that in the past.
right. So are
And
you,
work.
are you saying you want to avoid a second meeting to move?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely. I do want to avoid a second meeting if possible. If it's not possible, it's not possible. So do you
and
want to just strike this?
Well, let's think about this. We could rewrite it and say, and I'll take a pass at this because I think this is really similar to the checklist the application checklist that we made. So I think we could flatten these two things together and have a flow chart.
Yeah, we don't even have to have a flow chart. It was just to get this finalized,
Yes.
that thing finalized.
Okay,
The thing at the bottom is just
but I like that.
clarifying.
I think this is
Whatever.
helpful having a visual though. I
Oh.
like your idea.
I think we should take case by case. If
I do
somebody
not.
comes in.
Absolutely, I think we have to have a
More
procedure
standard.
Yeah,
and a policy,
yeah.
Okay.
so people know where they're at.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's the same way as when the selectmen meet, they have a process.
Yeah,
Mhm.
If you wish to speak on something that is not part of their agenda, that's the time to do it, and it's posted as such.
right.
And it is inviolate, because once that period is over, unless you're speaking to an agenda item, you are not going to be heard.
Mhm.
And I think that works.
It does work.
So when the CEO receives a COA, he's going to make the judgment as.
No, he's not, because
No
Bruce
judgment.
said he wouldn't
Has
do
Bruce
it.
said that?
Everybody hears, yes, he has.
Okay,
Uh,
well then I'll ask him.
No, it's not, he'll receive it. He actually, what will happen is, the person will come in, they'll talk to Bruce. Bruce will say, you need a COA, or you don't need a COA.
Right.
You need a COA, they give them the application, they fill it out, they bring it back into the office, they give it to Kathy, she scans it, she gives it to us. That's basically
Okay.
what's been
Mhm.
happening, right?
Mhm.
She emails it to us and we review it. Now, what we want to try to fix, if I'm understanding you correctly, what we want to fix is the time that it takes for us to review it and our having to make an applicant wait for another whole month if they're not
Do we
complete.
put something in there that when it gets scanned and sent to us, we have 3 days to get back to the applicant with any additional things that we may need, or anything
Yeah.
that's missing?
3 days.
Who's gonna send it to us?
Kathy,
So Kathy sends the COA
Yeah.
to us via email. We
Yeah.
have 3 days
Each
to
one of
review it.
us.
I would,
She sends it to each one of us now, doesn't she?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just
I
want.
would posit that Kathy should scan the first
Yeah, like before you.
page
Mhm.
of the email and send it to us, and we come in and pick it up. The actual hard copy, because they will have submitted 8 copies.
Well, I don't know, I mean, I don't know if we can do that. I mean, I think that, 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 I think that maybe we should have an approval. Like submit one copy to Kathy. If there's anything missing, we'll get back to you, and then 8 copies can come in.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at, but how do you do that? She scans, but that scanner is hopeless on pictures. Totally hopeless. I have absolutely no idea what's going on.
Can they email it to us?
That's what she's
No.
trying to do.
I mean, can the applicant email
No.
it?
That's too hard for applicants. Most people don't even, we're
Yeah,
looking
because
at
they don't know how to
email,
use
let
it,
alone know
scanners
how
and
to
stuff.
complete a PDF online. I like the 3-day reply.
Yeah, I would say 3 to 5 days, depending on, holiday, weekend, whatever,
And I like the idea of maybe they're not submitting 8 copies, because I mean, this 8 copy thing, if they have to make changes, it's an awful lot. of
Right, that's a
Yeah.
lot of paper, and that's a pain in the ass, yeah.
Yeah,
That is, that is why I had it go to the CEO
okay,
before they did the 8 copies.
right.
Because it is a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, it's also very expensive.
It is expensive.
Would it be better if they just bring like 5 copies here? When they present it to us, that way that we know that it's at their final, we've already gone back within 3 to 5 days, anything that may be missing,
But how do you arrange to do that? Are you still going to have Kathy
just give her 1 copy.
scan and send to all of you?
Mm-hmm.
Scan the whole thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what she's been doing.
I know that's what she's been doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, that
Okay.
works really well for me. I mean,
I have
Okay.
yet to come into the office and pick one up. I mean, everything's all PDF on my
Me too.
laptop.
Me too.
Older.
It saves me a lot of time since I'm
Yeah, and paper.
at work all day long, so.
So what we're saying, we are gonna send them out email, or is that what I'm reading into this conversation?
Yeah, so either we
Okay.
get back to them within 3 to 5 days with additions or missing items, or with an approval. Like, yeah, this COA is complete, we look forward to seeing you, yada yada.
3 days to.
So what date do we have to have the actual COA within our hands, or our
Well,
particular computer?
Right now, the applicant is required to submit the COA on the 15th of the month prior to the meeting, right? And that's the process that was on the checklist.
So it's
Right,
the 15th
and-
is gonna be and then that's gonna be
So let's
received
work backwards.
by the commission on the 16th or 17th?
COAs are reviewed on the first Thursday of the month, and completed applications must be received on or before the 15th of the preceding month to allow for posting and publication if necessary. Do you feel like that's reasonable? Do you want to change that?
That's fine. I just want to point out again, the town office is closed on Fridays.
True.
Now, I am perfectly willing to be disabused of this notion that my lawyer and I have. The town office is closed on Friday. Therefore, there will be no business conducted by the town office on Friday, even if the entire town office is here
Mm-hmm.
doing other things.
Yep.
They are officially closed. They cannot accept if Friday is the 15th. If Friday is the Saturday or Sunday, is it the 15th? That's, then they will have submitted it only on the Monday, the 16th. Already they've lost the weekend time that we would have to review these COA.
That's really.
We're trying, as John has said over and over and over again, we're trying to be helpful to people to make it easy for them.
Well, why don't we just say the second Thursday of the month instead of saying the 15th?
Okay?
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think that sounds better. Personally.
That eliminates everything.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Second Thursday of the month?
That gives
COA
us-
has to be submitted in toto by the second Thursday.
Yeah, because the only Thursday holiday we have is Thanksgiving, and that's on the 3rd or 4th, so.
Right. And then we have 3 days to review it.
3 to 5 days, depending on holidays, whatever.
The only, and back to Susan's point, the only problem, the only time we hit a
Snag.
roadblock with that is if their COA is so totally messed up
Yep.
that we go, this is completely wrong, you've missed a whole bunch of stuff, you need to go back to the drawing board, that means that they're gonna have to wait another month to be reviewed.
I mean, if it's gonna be that bad, that means they're also gonna have to get information too, like building materials, window
Right.
sizes, dimensions, you know, contractor stuff. That's gonna take time too. Nobody's gonna get
I
that
mean,
stuff.
Most of the times, the COAs we receive are really detailed and good.
Mm-hmm,
The only time I can think of a COA that was a mess was
mm-hmm. That one time.
that one time.
And we have one time with Rick and Faye Snyder, that somehow they got bogged down. And I've talked to Rick, and he's in a long-winded process getting people to do exactly for the work. But it's still, you know, we haven't voted in that one. And I've gone back through the minutes and double-checked whether we voted here or voted there.
Didn't we approved all the windows but the front ones?
Except for the front ones, right?
Yeah.
And they
So
said they'd
he
come
can
back to
work
us.
on,
Yeah.
as a COA, on all the other windows.
Right.
But he wants to come in and get our blessing on the front
Yeah.
ones. So it just you know, it's sort of stuff that we worked on, that we got out, and we thought that the person is. But you know, Rick is a very busy man, and he just wasn't able to get back.
Well, let's focus on this process right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
So if we do second Thursday of the month, get back to the applicant within 3 to 5 days with an approval, and then have them submit 8 copies, is that the next step?
I'm not sure we can go with an approval unless we actually have a meeting.
no, we
No,
just
just
say the
approve,
COA
like-
is,
All
You
your
mean
boxes
approval
are
for the
checked.
COA,
right.
All your boxes are checked.
COA to proceed to the meeting.
Yeah.
You're complete,
all the blocks are checked.
and we have
Good.
what we need
Okay.
from you. But I think it's gonna have to be less than 5 days, because we still need to give Kathy needs enough time
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do whatever she needs to do.
Well, it's gotta be, Friday is off, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it's gotta be at least by the Tuesday of the next week.
Does that
Or
give her
you
10
wanna
days?
If you wanna do the Thursday of the next week. it
Hold
would
on, let
be-
me look at the calendar, because we're back to counting days. She needs 10 days to get something submitted. She needs to contact the abutters and get it in the
Mhm.
newspaper, and she needs 10 days. So do we ask for something sooner than the second Thursday of the month? How about the second Monday of the month, or something like that, so we have a little bit of extra time?
I'd make it a Tuesday, if there's too many holidays on a Monday.
Right, second Tuesday of the month?
Tuesday,
What do you
Wednesday.
think about that? I think that gives us a little bit more wiggle room.
If we make it that Wednesday, and everything's still open on Thursday.
Yeah.
Or
Second,
Tuesday,
I like the Tuesday.
because that gives you 5 days to review it.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
second
Tuesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, fine.
Tuesday, yep.
Okay. Okay,
Second Tuesday. Okay, is that it?
Charlotte, when do
Can't be the second.
ads have to go in?
I think,
When do ads have to go in?
well, we take them right up until Tuesday.
Tuesday, you're right. And Wiscasset still takes until Tuesday?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, 'cause they do the double, right.
Yeah.
do we want to add to this process, a special mention of COAs that are focused, that are demolitions? Because that's a whole nother level of time required. We need a lot more time for demolition.
I don't know because of what the ordinance says in regards to demolition. I mean, the ordinance does have demolition in it.
Right.
But
So
I
I
thought
don't
we
know
were
that it's
gonna
necessary.
we were gonna go over that again. I thought because of what Les had given to you and sent to all of us, that we were gonna review all the demolition ideas.
Well, you mean
and thoughts.
requiring a change to the ordinance?
Yeah. It would.
We can't do that until 2020, John. So let's not even go there right now.
Well, I was just saying what I thought.
Yeah, no, I think you're right,
Yeah.
but we
We're
cannot
gonna have to
amend
stay.
the ordinance.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to stay with the ordinance until we have a chance to change it. And then, who knows?
Will the ordinance, is there language in the ordinance that would prevent us from asking for additional time if we have a COA that is demolition?
Not that I know.
According to the ordinance on 10.1.2, this is just the purpose, is prevent without prior review demolition or removal of significant historical buildings and structures. I'm trying to see if there's anything. But, you know, we have that. That explains what that is, and then we have next.
Are you working on 10.5?
Now on 10.3, that was just the description, and then 10.3.19 is review all proposed addition, reconstruction, alterations, construction, removal, or demolition of properties designated under the jurisdiction of this
Okay,
ordinance.
that's it. That's for the actual demolition. I went to 10.5 for, the different
not there yet.
certificate.
Demolition of any landmark building or portion of any building. You will need a certificate of appropriateness for demolition of any landmark building or portion of any building, including the removal of architectural features, yada yada. That's 10.511B. A brief description of the new construction, reconstruction, alteration, maintenance, demolition, or removal, requiring the issuance of the certificate of appropriateness. So it's written into the ordinance. And on 10.6.12, in regards to administrative procedures, in the case of an application for a new building or demolition of any building, a hearing notice shall be placed in the newspaper of general circulation. And then approval, if the commission determines that the proposed construction, reconstruction, alteration, moving, or demolition meets the standards, it's therefore appropriate.
So,
And then there's even a section demolition or removal, which is 10.7.15. So it's already written in there.
I mean, the way I'm understanding this is there's nothing in the ordinance that would prevent us from saying in the COA application, in case of demolition, we require an additional month for review or whatever, because we have to do research.
I don't think because our ordinance says after we receive the COA,
Okay.
you have to have determination within 30 days.
Well, that puts a lot of burden on us
And-
to do research for
But you see,
demolition.
that shouldn't be us researching it. If somebody's
Right.
tearing a house down, that's their responsibility, their home, their taxes, their property, they need to do the research.
But they will never do the research to argue to save a property if they're trying to tear it down.
Well, then we'll just make them.
But that
No.
won't work. It will never work that way. You saw what happened in the past. I mean, it was never going to, no one's ever gonna go to the courthouse and dig through old books to try to determine how old the property really is. They wanna tear it down.
And that's as easy as, finding out how old the property is as easy as going to the tax maps.
No,
Or the, what's it called, the cards. They'll tell you how old the house is, when it was built, what changes were made, when additions were put on.
Is that in the library or?
That's online. You just do linking, that's on the wiscasset.org site,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
But it's not going to tell you any it's not going to give you the story, the historical significance of the house. I mean, I guess if it's already on the register and it's a contributing property, already we know that it's a property of significance and they can't just go tear it down. But I mean, I'm just curious. I know that it took a lot of time for us to figure out what to do about the West House. Can we address it in any way as part of our process?
I think the only way to do that, I think the only way to do that would be to have a separate COA for demolitions.
Okay.
Then that
Separate
whole ordinance
form.
has to be written over.
Hmm?
Wouldn't that whole ordinance have to be written
No,
over? Because it
I don't
includes
think so.
demolition.
I don't think so.
So like a separate COA entirely for,
Yeah,
our COA now reads,
Our COA could definitely be tightened up a little bit. If we're able to, if we're allowed to change it, it would be nice to give it a little breathing.
Well, in the COA, what we've been talking at, 10.7.1.5, it says procedure. And it says historic resource or building or structure in the historic district shall not be demolished, removed, and a certificate of appropriateness shall not be approved until either, and then we list the building or the structure has been identified by the commission. So we do have to research it,
Okay.
no matter how we're looking at it. If that comes out into the COA that we get through what we've been trying to put as a structure of
I think what we need to do, and the state may help us on this, may not, I think we have to complete the contributing structures in
Yeah, you
the
mean,
historic
Yeah.
district. Just because something is old does not necessarily make it a contributing structure.
Right, all we have is the small list, all we have is a list of a few properties that are noted as contributing.
It's quite a few.
Okay,
It's
quite a
many
few.
more than
Okay.
are not listed
Right,
on
true,
that.
okay.
Because that came from the National Register.
Mhm.
And most of the ones that are not listed as contributing, or many of them, are outside that district, but within our overlay district.
Okay.
Um,
But you're saying you'd like to have more of them surveyed and added or assessed?
Well, I think sooner or later, if we're gonna go for a CLG, we're gonna have to do it. And
yeah, that's the basis.
I think essentially, he doesn't want to, but I think my husband will probably come around with me and take pictures of the houses that are not on, one by one. And we can also, I think, appeal to the homeowners. Wouldn't you like to know more about your home? A lot of people would. A lot of people don't know what went on in their houses, if anything. If you came into Wiscasset now, you would not know what happened with the Chase House unless you did some research. You'd just see a great big double house, restored, handsome. If you wanted to buy it, you might not know the history of it. You might not know that the most famous wood sculpture, bird sculpture in the country, World Wildlife Night, whatever it was, grew up there. You might not know that that's where Wiscasset and Powellboro was written.
Wow,
And it might be interesting to you.
right.
I know that the people that have bought that house are fascinated by anything I can tell them because my family's lived next door for years.
Mhm.
So that might be a way to get to people.
To encourage them to do their own research and
Yeah.
help us. Mhm.
You know,
And
Maybe.
it would, because so many people buy a house and then they do the research.
yeah, exactly. And it could be a big selling point if people wanted to sell, but it's also bragging rights.
Mhm.
And from my basic experience, a lot of people call and they say, well, how do you go about finding history? And we have a wonderful, room up in the library called the Jane Edward. And I've told people, I said, well, that's half the fun of buying mother's house, is to go off and find out yourself. And, a lot of people listen to that, and they do that. Very few have I gotten people that have come up and called and say, well, I just can't get there. And that kind of tells me something about what, who they're thinking of. But I think people should be encouraged to do things and to look up. And I'd love to see it on the COA. Have you researched historically your home? And because that's the fun of it for us too.
Well, I don't think that we can ask people if they've done that, if they come to us. But my thought was just in order to complete the survey of the district, maybe that would work to help us a little bit.
Sure, if we could enlist the help of the homeowners, that would be
Yeah.
fantastic. Until we can get grant money to hire consultant or whatever we need.
Yeah, again, what was said, until we become, what is it, a CLG.
A CLG, but we need this before we can
Yeah,
become a
agree,
CLG.
agree. We need it before, and that's also, until we become a CLG, we're not gonna be able to get the grants that
No,
they have.
there are some grants available from the state before you become a CLG.
Yeah, I was thinking of strictly
There's
for
Tennessee.
main preservation, because I've been told no.
They're
until we get-
gettable. I think the thing that we need to think about, even once we become a CLG, is most of the grants that are issued require matching funds. So even if we do get money,
Good.
are we going to be able to come up with a matching amount to be able to get the grant? So we need to figure out a way that we can start raising a little bit of money, maybe.
Could
here.
we circle back to
Yes,
this,
sorry.
please?
We went off on a tangent.
We always do. That's the fun of it, but it's also, I think our checklist is great that you
Yes.
have.
But I think I like the idea of the flow chart too. Do you want me to, I wouldn't mind giving this a try to make a flow chart to incorporate both of these things.
Okay,
If you think that.
fine by me.
Do you guys think a flow chart is a better visual than the checklist? Easier for people to follow?
I don't think you can
Check
get,
boxes?
I don't think you can get all of the information on that into
Right.
flowchart.
Oh, you'll wait and see.
That people can read, Leslie, without a
Yeah, but we're gonna have to
magnifying
give
glass.
out,
I'm not
microscopes
talking
for
about
looking.
Arial 6
Oh,
point.
what does it say?
So will be sentence underneath, Susan?
Go for that challenge.
About the application is found to be complete by the CEO. Are we going with that?
No,
Okay. How are we changing it?
well, it's just,
We're gonna change copies, huh? Different-
And if you can, just make it 2 pages,
yeah.
you know.
Bearing in mind that
if
house.
the application is found to be complete after review
Right.
by
Let's
HPC,
By the CEO, it's written here.
and by the CEO just comes out of there.
see. Mhm.
Then applicant shall make 8 copies and submit to the administrative assistant for processing. Now, when,
And you're gonna cross out the 15th and put the second Thursday.
Tuesday.
Second Tuesday.
If they have to have it by the second Thursday, how can it be the second Tuesday? That would be before.
Yeah, because they have to have it by the second Tuesday, not the second Thursday.
Oh, okay.
We're changing it because
Okay.
we discovered it wasn't going to give us enough time before the meeting to get everything done.
Should we make it the second Tuesday or the first Tuesday? Because I'm seeing that some second Tuesdays are like the 13th, the 14th.
We could say the first Tuesday, the first week of the month. We could say, how about the first week of the month?
No, because that's
First
when we
Tuesday.
meet, and then somebody will submit it then, and nobody will
Of the
have time to
preceding,
review.
of the first week of the preceding month. Now, I guess it needs to be more specific. I like the,
I would
Do
say
the-
either that or the last Tuesday of the month.
what? The last Tuesday.
No,
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Of the preceding month.
no.
No.
Okay, then the first Tuesday. Because like this month, the second
First
Tuesday is the
Tuesday.
14th.
Okay, first Tuesday of the preceding month.
Yeah, of the preceding month.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
Okay, I like that.
I'd like to submit one idea and just see what you think.
Okay.
If the application is found to be complete by the CEO and
No, crossing out the
No,
CEO,
no
Okay.
CEO.
by
after review by HPC,
review by a member of the HPC.
HPC members. Member, parenthesis,
It could be
S.
any- yeah.
Well, it should be as many of us, we should have as many eyes on it as possible.
Mhm.
not just
Oh, yeah,
one
sure,
person.
but then it says the applicant shall make 8 copies and submit to the administration assistant for processing.
Mhm.
Processing is sending it out to the rest of
Yeah.
the commission.
No,
No, why not?
it's,
Processing
the
has,
processing is mailing and to the abutters
Butters.
oh, okay, okay.
and to advertise.
I thought processing meant putting it in the box so members of the commission could come and get it.
And no, that's, Kathy does that, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I don't think that information is necessary for the applicant.
I see what you're saying.
Right. She
Well,
doesn't-
you-
They don't need to know how the sausage is made.
Yep.
It's the old saying, keep it simple, and you won't run into problems.
And the other thing is, to rework this, the administrative assistant will scan the first page of the application and email it to the HPC members. I think we've got to take that out.
Yeah, I do too.
That was my idea for Kathy not having to
Scan the application.
scan the whole damn thing, but
She's been doing, she doesn't, I mean, if she's hating the process, she's been very game about not complaining. It's much appreciated to get it electronically.
So you want those last 3 lines out?
It will say the administrative assistant
Very
will
wants it.
scan the application and email it to HPC members who are then responsible. Didn't get. Okay, email it to HPC members, period. Yeah?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then on the
Cross out that
checklist,
last.
the checklist then talks about if your COA is approved, that what happens, and if your COA is not approved, what happens. So that's something I think we'd add to this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I think another thing that will really help ensure that applicants don't have to come back a second time and we don't get into these conversations about materials, choices, which, I think we need to figure out a way to have an approved materials list on our website. There's gotta be some way we can standardize the materials, like, do we approve steel roofs? Yes, we do. We approve steel roofs. We don't have to keep talking about it.
can't remember where I saw it, but there is a sentence in an HPC from somewhere else that says, in the historic district, vinyl siding will not be allowed if it hasn't been there before. I haven't got it quite right,
Yeah, we should have that.
but I think that is something
Yeah, I agree.
that, you know, if it's vinyl siding and a piece of it is corrupted, yes, you should be able, you know, to redo that side of the house. I don't know from
Right.
vinyl siding, except that I know that things rot underneath it. But,
Unless there's an error, there's a cushion of error. It was explained to me by a very, very good carpenter the other day about vinyl. I still agree, I don't want vinyl. But he says
Well-
it can last if it's put in and there is a layer of air between the vinyl siding and the wall or the brick or whatever you're gonna do. And that, I had never heard that particular concept, but he's a very good,
well, you know, I think working on approved materials, for instance, windows is something we seem to be coming up
We
against a
do,
lot.
A lot. We need to figure that out. And roofs, of course, they keep
and-
coming up.
We have to figure out, I think, I tried and I could not get, because I just didn't have enough time to chase it down. I tried to get a sample of composite fencing,
Oh,
fence posts and
yeah,
all,
yeah.
and a vinyl thing. The difference, when I saw them it was Lowe's or somewhere, I didn't really feel like buying a 20-foot length or whatever. But the difference is amazing.
Mhm.
I mean, it's extraordinary.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
how do we go about making an approved materials list? And who do we need to have approve that list once we put something together?
I think it's really a case-by-case scenario, because depending on the house, depending on the age, I mean, if the house is like 250 years old, but it was redone 150 years ago, that's still historic, but you don't have to go back 250 years. So like what's appropriate
It's a
for this one
question
might not be
whether
appropriate
it's
for that.
restoration or reparation.
Right,
Really.
exactly, yeah.
And I think
We can have
I
disapproved
think
materials rather than approved materials. That might be easier.
Well, but again, I think, we should say, these are the materials that we would not approve in the historic district. But I mean, like, I keep thinking about Beth Maxwell the other meeting saying, we keep, does that mean that I'm gonna have to go before you if I do a steel roof? And we said, yes, of course, because it's a COA sort of thing, but it would simplify the discussion a lot if we didn't have to have this conversation.
Because it's redundant.
It's redundant, exactly. There are some things, we don't have to discuss it amongst ourselves. We say, yes, it's an approved material.
But if her house had a roof like that earlier on, like 100 years ago, then we may approve it.
But we're approving steel roofs for anybody who's coming up before us. And so at some point, we have to say, this is an approved material. Not everybody's gonna want it, but we can't say to some people no and some people yes, right? I mean, I feel like we can't be so subjective that every time somebody comes up before us, we're either in a really good mood or we're not in a good mood, and it
I agree.
affects our decision.
But if that's the case, then I wouldn't approve them at all. Forget it. I mean, you should see up in Jackman, the roofs that they have up there, that they got sold a bill of goods, and they're all up there, and they're all rusty, and they look crappy.
they're awful.
They're
Look at the
awful.
green one down street.
Yes,
And that went in, like, 30 years ago?
It's
yeah.
rusting.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's gonna last you forever, but it's gonna look like crap. It's gonna get rusty, it's gonna be crappy.
and we
You
can,
know?
we're gonna quote you on that.
Go right ahead.
Good, no, I
I
think
don't
you're
like
right,
that.
I agree with you.
We
Put your
have-
shingles on.
By the way, may I interject, Marie and I are gonna have to leave it in 10 minutes. You do know that on the warrant in June, the town is gonna come up and vote monies for an assistant town planner.
Okay. Oh, this is the town planner.
Yeah. So,
An
when,
assistant town planner? We don't even have a town planner.
well,
Part-time, a part-time.
part-time, I'm sorry, part-time town planner. So a lot of these things are good, and I completely agree that we have to go on and get the process and get some things nailed down that we know are gonna do, but we are gonna have a new sheriff in town, so to speak.
Well,
Maybe.
We don't
Maybe,
answer to
well,
the
Yeah, they may or they may not approve it.
Sure, well,
There's
agreed,
that chance.
and that's, from that standpoint, you're absolutely right.
But we don't
God help
answer to the
us.
town planner, and the town planner isn't involved in the COA review, right? So I don't understand how the.
Our town planner has always, when we had a town planner, Ben, and also before Ben, he was always involved. I mean, he was an advisor as Susan was, but when he advised something, it was something that we did.
But I think that mostly what Ben was there for us was following the codes, which is basically what Bruce is doing right now. And that's what we have to stick with. So we have to go at this process right now as if we don't have one, because there's nothing voted on at this point.
Yeah, right.
I know that you guys need to leave soon, so there are two other things I wanted to bring up. Somebody had presented a really nice list, maybe it was you, Susan, of possible new members. So we really need to focus on trying to find, we need to beef up membership.
Well, I've got two members who promised me that they were going to go into the office, and they're both what I call shopkeepers, and one is. what
Please
is
do
that
not-
lady?
Please
Right?
do not say who it is.
Okay, I won't.
Yes.
Agreed, I won't, because I'm not sure that I can get the name right anyway. So, I have talked to another one that was on your list. I sent Susan the ones that I talked to, and he can't, period.
Okay,
So, we're still trying. I think the list was very, very good, but people just don't want to volunteer for this.
okay. Well, at least we're
So
trying.
we'll keep
pass
on
the
going
word
on with
along.
our strong group.
Okay, and then my second and last point is, it is time for us to figure out a date that we're going to do the election of officers, because we're way overdue.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
that is something we need to put on the agenda for sometime very
Or
soon.
the next meeting, which is May, isn't it?
It's May
Second,
2nd,
it says Thursday, May 2nd on the agenda.
May 2nd.
just around the corner.
Do we have COAs to review on the 2nd?
We have the town.
Oh,
If they
yeah.
come back.
The fence.
And we also have, we should, before I zoom out of here, we have that request from the person who wants to store kayaks. And I think honestly,
We store kayaks.
kayaks on.
Kayaks.
The kayak rack
Kayak.
on the harbor master building near the tracks.
That's us?
But he's submitting that for the town, and I
That's
don't
for
think
the
the
town.
town is
Well,
going to allow
that's,
that.
that's still part of our, depending on the way you look at it. I think it should go to the water,
No,
to the waterfront group.
it's us to review
But
it.
we should say to him that there is a very strong and good group over there called the
Wisconsin
Yacht Club. And that would be a very good place to store kayaks.
So
They have already
Have they gone through that?
gone through that, and there's, for whatever reason, I happened to be at the meeting where he presented that,
Okay.
so that's not an option.
Okay.
I think
Well, he
We'll see
has
what
filled
the
out a
select-
COA.
hmm?
The
has,
gentleman
but-
who wants to do it has filled out a COA.
Okay, he hasn't submitted it to us yet, so,
I haven't seen
because
anything.
because he submitted it
To the
in
select-
behalf of the town, and he's not allowed to represent the town, which is, it's a very weird thing. John O'Connell didn't think that he was gonna let it be presented, because the way it was prepared was on behalf of the town because it's town property.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah, so
all
he
very
can't do that
confusing.
unless he
Is
is on
that
his own
town property
property.
or is it railroad property?
It has to be his own
It's town
property.
property. Yeah, it has to be his own property. He can't
Yeah,
represent the town if he's not a member of the
Mhm.
town government.
right.
Very bizarre.
Well, it's
I think we'll just have to fence.
something we're gonna have to talk about.
Or, I don't
Think
know.
about. Well, we are gonna do the thing on the, since it is the first Thursday in the month, for next month, the town and the cemetery and the festival. Okay?
Yes.
That should be an exciting meeting, if nothing else.
Very interesting.
All right, friends, next meeting will be
Second.
the 7th, thank you.
Second.
Second. Yeah, Thursday, the second, what do I want to say? A lot of work. And the place will be here. So I will approve a meeting, a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor? Wow, that's really easy with this group, isn't it? Oh, yeah, we adjourn.
Time for dinner.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, thank you.
Did John, did Albert say why he had resigned? Or when did he announce his resignation?
We don't, it's not, within the rules, within the procedure, he doesn't have to write a letter or something.
No.
And for the sake of privacy, I would rather say we're going to lose a very good member and we wish him
That's true.
good luck. Okay?
But I can say he resigned.
Well, he did. I think resigning is better than quitting. He's been here for a long time. So I think his time, actually is coming up. And I will look at how many years we're supposed to have, because I know that I'm overdue.
And you're